So warning, this may challenge tradition in many ways. Fire block gel. Early on, Atira Systems identified two significant fire industry problems that literally begged for solution: firefighter safety issues and a need to extend the performance value of water. We found that many of the retardants and foam products we traditionally use are just plain toxic to firefighters as well as the environment. And given the pressure on water resources and/or runoff control issues, knowing that traditionally 90% of water used falls to the ground where it does no work, we felt that there was an opportunity to improve the suppression and protection value of water. Why consider gel? Because it causes plain water to stick and stay on overhead and vertical surfaces where the heat exists, reducing internal temperatures in confined spaces dramatically. It can reduce and/or eliminate flashover and rekindle. It reduces water load and potential for structural collapse due to loading. It can reduce toxic runoff. It can extend the value of water and reduce water hauling requirements. It can reduce water damage. It can protect exposures, and it is not toxic to firefighters or the environment. First generation gels, Barricade and Thermogel, were introduced over a decade ago based on the concept of baby diaper retention. An improvement over plain water, they caused water to stick and stay where it could produce work, and they enabled the thick protection quality that caught on briefly in wildfire-ravaged regions. The products were extremely slippery, temperamental to apply, and difficult to clean up. First-generation gels swell when in contact with water and cannot be pumped at protection viscosities. They actually plug lines hard and must be ejected at the nozzle. They would persist in the environment for years, rehydrating with every rain. And first-generation gels imposed unnecessary loads on firefighters, precluding SCBAs, and were not practical in structural suppression. Second-generation gel, Tetra KO, sought to eliminate the hose and deductors required by the pioneers by providing a thixotrophic solution that changes phase from gel to liquid under pressure and back to gel when it relaxes. It's much like ketchup in a bottle that is gelled, but momentarily phase changes to liquid while being squeezed and then returns to gel. However, the solution to one problem created a whole new problem. Tetra KO was a dry powder that had to be batch mixed in the apparatus tank well ahead of an incident. It would remain stable for 30 to 90 days before biodegrading, necessitating disposal. But more importantly, it eliminated essential flexibility and in some cases could become too thick to pump. Atira Systems FBG1 is a third-generation solution that is applied through a Foam Pro or powered proportioner, on demand, at instantly variable rates, through conventional hose and combi nozzles. It does not mix in the tank and it does not go through the pump, although it can. It can be varied from a 1% suppression gel, which is loose but sticky, to a 2 to 2.5% protection gel, up to 1/2 inch thick, which will cling to vertical and overhead surfaces and last for hours. It is meant to replace first and second generation gels and displace the use of Class A foam. FBG1 is produced from a cosmetic grade thickener that has a strong environmental health record. It is not toxic to firefighters nor the environment. Atira board members Arlene Bloom, director of the Green Science Policy Institute, Berkeley, is the country's foremost critic of toxic fire retardant chemicals. And Nell Newman, founder of Newman's Organics, Paul Newman's daughter, provide a relentless drive to be clean and green and safe for firefighters. FBG1 can extend the value of plain water by up to 6 to 8 times by reason of causing water to stick where it is most effective rather than run to the ground. That adhesion property can prevent rekindle and/or flashover in structural knockdown altogether. It can reduce water loads where structural collapse is a potential, can significantly reduce water damage, and reduce the toxic brew of runoff. FBG-1 reduces internal temperatures rapidly, increasing survivability and improving the hostile work environment. Rural departments that rely on hauling every drop of water to an incident can be much more effective with the extension value of FBG-1, a true benefit when waiting for an inbound tender to arrive. The ability to change viscosity with a button or dial enables fire personnel to code an exposure for protection in either a structural incident or wildland situation. At 2 to 2.5%, FBG-1 will produce an encapsulating protective layer capable of rejecting thousands of degrees of direct flame impingement and or providing protection from embers and firebrands. Not only can structural materials be coated, but steel propane tanks, power poles, vehicles can all be protected with FBG-1. FBG-1 is designed to repurpose a foam pro or powered proportioner. Supply lines and fittings from the foam gel tank must be optimized for adequate flow. Foam residue must be rinsed from the proportioning system, and the proportioner must be recalibrated to run a thicker concentrate. In some cases, the proportioner's flow meter may need to be repositioned prior to the injection port because engine builders vary in their installation practices. A remote calibration injection valve is typically added to the pump panel for ease of operation. Atira Systems provides integration support in terms of system conversion, calibration, and repair as needed, training, strategic caching, equipment, and technical incident support. FBG-1 will be introduced to the market shortly. We're currently conducting live fire field evaluations with CalFire, San Diego County Fire, and Texas A&M Forest Service. A product comparison test is being conducted by UL Teaks for structural use. The U.S. Forest Service QPL evaluation protocol is about to be initiated for wildland operations. The International Association of Fire Chiefs, Western Division, led by Jeff Johnson, Chief TVF&R, retired, conducted a crucible evaluation, and they've been proactive in helping to navigate a successful launch. Atira FBG-1 provides a viable solution for historic safety and performance concerns. It's non-toxic to humans and the environment. It functions reliably on demand, can be applied with existing equipment. It extends the value of water by a factor of up to 8 times. It can be used for protection and now safely for suppression as well. And it provides operational cost savings over existing options.
Oh yeah, 1100 degrees. Here we go. That was about 4 gallons of chemical and water. We got the fire up to about 1100 degrees, and as you saw, I did about a 4-gallon blast. It knocked the majority of the fire down. Waited about 30 seconds for a rekindle, used about another 5 gallons, and there we go, fire was out. So
this, to me, is phenomenal, because if you're going to do a transitional attack from the exterior, you come in here, you nail this with this, and it coats that. It doesn't allow that fire to come back up. It'll probably put 80-90% of the fire out. And then by the time you go into it, it's probably going to be fairly clear in there.
So that might change the standards, or eventually, if that's demonstrated to work that way?
I think so. You know, either that, or even if you are being aggressive interior attack on room into content, the way this is set up with a foam pro and the regular nozzles is you can automatically, as you're going in, they're pumping that right in there and you're just putting it out. Because I also see if you're going into a fire and it's coming down a hallway, is you can shoot it up there, coat that hallway and ceiling. That's going to keep it, adhere to it, and keep it from reigniting as you push further in to the building.
Because otherwise the fire might come in behind you.
Right, right. So I see a lot of benefits of it, personally. So, excellent.